Welcome to the Health by Haven podcast. I'm your host, Haven Quinlan. If you're a multi-passionate wellness enthusiast, then you're in the right place. I'm obsessed with learning as much as I can about the wellness world, and I want to share that with you. Each episode will dive into various aspects of health and wellness through inspiring and informative guest interviews with some solo episodes thrown in. Tune in for all things health, and let's have some fun, shall we? Is your home in need of a refresh? I don't know about you, but I love reimagining and redesigning my space. If you're wanting to liven up your space and level up your decor, be sure to check out Arranger Paints on Etsy. The shop is full of beautiful paintings, many inspired by nature, and all sure to give your home a custom feel. The paintings also make great housewarming or birthday gifts. I've gifted paintings from the shop and have Arranger Paints artwork in my loft. As a special thank you for supporting the Health by Haven podcast, you can get 10% off your order with code HXH10. You can find the full collection of work at arrangerpaints.etsy.com or scroll down to the show notes for the link. Today on the Health by Haven podcast, we have Alex Stockton on the show. Alex and I worked together at a small interior design shop in Maryville, Tennessee, years back now. And we actually grew up in the same hometown, but Alex now has a thriving travel business. It's so much fun to follow along with her adventures on Instagram. And so I knew I just had to have her on the show to chat all things travel. And while it may not be super directly related to health at face value, I do love getting to see how much she loves her job. And I think that day-to-day job satisfaction and overall happiness plays so much into our health. And so I do think it is super relevant to the show and really excited to chat with you today, Alex. So first of all, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So I kind of want to kick things off. I know from Instagram you had a recent trip to Spain. So first, I just want to hear all about that. Tell us everything.
Yeah, it was an amazing trip. It's our 10-year anniversary year. So we decided to split it into 2 trips. We went to France in May, and then we did Spain in September. And the Spain trip was amazing. We did have quite a bit of bad luck, which, happens as part of travel. We were expecting a beach trip, and usually the weather is beach friendly, but it was pretty chilly and stormy and windy. So a lot of our boat trips got canceled, but it was still an amazing trip. And I was really happy we were staying at nice hotels because it didn't really matter that some of our plans got canceled. But I always tell clients, I'm like, you never know what's going to happen. With travel, you just kind of have to roll with the punches and try to be in as good a mood as possible.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, anything from like lost luggage to delayed flights to a storm, like you said, could really turn things around. Where did you stay that you were like, oh, it's fine if we stay in the hotel?
So my favorite hotel we stayed at was the Belmond on Mallorca. It's this like really iconic property, La Residencia. It is absolutely stunning. I've been really behind on posting. I'm actually was catching up on posting about it today, but photos and videos don't even capture it. It's in this tiny village called Dea, and it's right in the center. It's these gorgeous stone buildings against like these mountains. The light is just perfect. It is so romantic. The service was amazing. I love like an old school interior design feel. So it definitely spoke to me. And there was like some really amazing romantic restaurants on property. It was pretty incredible.
Wow, that sounds so amazing. And I mean, just seeing some of your Instagram posts, it looks like, I don't know, out of a movie or something, something that you can't even believe is real life. So incredible.
And like, even when you're there, you're like, how is this even real? It's so beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. I spent some time in Spain for the first time last year and got to go to a few coastal cities, which was really cool. But it was on like a little bit of a larger group travel. And so we didn't get to go to
Okay.
as many of those like kind of quaint, like tucked away little places as I maybe would have liked. And so all of your pictures look incredible.
Yeah, you'll make it back.
Oh, for sure. Okay, so I know we just kind of dove right in, but for people who are listening who may not know you, I know you spent a lot of years working in the events industry and then a little stint in the design world. And so maybe just give us a little bit of background into those past lives and what got you interested in becoming like starting your own travel business, becoming a travel affiliate.
Yeah. So right out of college, I started into the events world. So I spent 8 years doing weddings, corporate retreats. It's a really intense job. And I started developing some pretty serious health issues. We didn't know what was going on. My doctors were basically like, you need to switch careers.
Oh.
And so that's when we met, is when I was kind of in transition. I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. I had always been really great at planning travel. Like I was kind of like the go-to in our friend group and to do that. And it had always been something I was a little interested in. I had a lot of brides that would like ask me for recommendations, like post wedding when they would be honeymoon planning. So I was like, well, this is a great time to take this leap. I thought I was prepared. Looking back, I was definitely so naive, which could be helpful at the beginning, I think.
Yeah.
But I started my business in 2016. I was really lucky that this company, Smart Flyer, it was really the only luxury company I had really heard of and was kind of drawn to. Miraculously, they accepted me, which I now have found out they are very selective. So I'm like, glad I made it in. But it's basically you have a host agency, like a real estate agency would have like a Sotheby's or a Remax. It's kind of a similar setup in the travel world. So even though I own my own business, you have to have an affiliation with a host agency. And a lot of people think of travel agencies like someone on a headset in like a mall,
Yeah.
like booking your cruise ship. But Smart Flyer was a lot of like younger people, really kind of geared towards high-end luxury and kind of the future of travel. So
Hmm.
I was really lucky that I ended up with a great host agency that was an amazing fit. And they've just been so supportive as I've grown my business.
Amazing. And I mean, obviously, they selected you. I feel like you're like the perfect fit for that company. I mean, come on, give yourself some credit. Oh, so cool. Okay, so from there, when you submitted your application and you got accepted to be an affiliate, how in the world did you go about starting a business? I know there are probably people listening. It may not be in the travel industry, but maybe they have this like inkling of something they're like, oh, I really want to do. And it could seem so overwhelming. So, like, what were the steps that you took? I know you said you were probably a little naive at the beginning. Like how did you start? Where did you find clients? Like what was step one?
So I like reached out to a lawyer to set up my LLC. I was like, oh, this is easy.
Yeah.
Great. And then you're like, oh, I have to find people to book trips for. So some people are already connected to like an ultra high net worth, like clientele or industry. A lot of people have come like maybe from finance. That was not my case. I did have a great network of wedding planners from across the country. And so they were kind of my first lifeline of sending me honeymoon clients.
Yeah.
And then Instagram is really where I grew my business. So I mean it took a while, like when you're planning travel you don't get paid until after people travel anyways. So obviously it can take a while to like be financially supported. So for people who are like looking to get into the industry, I always say like, make sure you have some funds stashed away to kind of get you through the first year and a half. But Instagram was my main lifeline. I was friends with some NFL wives on Instagram, and we would kind of be messaging back and forth. They were like super sweet, and a couple of them reached out to me about planning a trip, and then they kind of spread the word. So I weirdly had a niche in like NFL linemen, which is not
beds.
something I expected. Yeah. Yeah. Gym's very important.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so then like once people start traveling, the word of mouth grows pretty quick. So really between like year 2 and 3, things really snowball. And then of course, 4 years in is when COVID happened. So obviously that was just mostly canceling trips. So that was a really rough year and a half. I didn't know what the industry was going to look like. There were so many unknowns. So I'm really, really thankful that we were able to make it through that.
Yeah.
But post-COVID, it has been so busy. It's wild.
That's amazing. I was actually going to ask you, like, do you find people are booking more last minute now? Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe people are like antsy and they're like, I have to go somewhere. And so they're booking like crazy.
Yeah. So right after COVID, I mean, it went from like 0 to 60.
Yeah.
People were booking kind of a combo of really last minute. I think people were nervous about planning too far out.
Yeah.
It's kind of normalized to where people are, I mean, we still get a lot of last minute bookings, but people are planning further out again. So hopefully no more pandemics in our future.
I think we've lived through enough. Save that for the next lifetime.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. How incredible. And how wild that like Instagram is it now for so many businesses. It's just so different marketing from, not that either of us are old, but like from when we grew up, it didn't even exist. And so that strategy for business owners is just like totally different nowadays. I love that you had niche clientele of NFL players and their families. That is too funny. But something that I wouldn't have thought about, like the gym, you're right, is probably so important. Like the food, how they need to like fuel is probably so important, things like that. So it probably is super helpful for them to work with a travel agent to help them find those things.
Yeah, a lot of my clients are pretty focused on health and wellness, like when they're traveling, like whether they're a CEO or an athlete, like it's such a big part of people's lives now. Like when they're taking trips, obviously that's something we have to take into consideration when planning.
Well, then it connects even more to the podcast. And like everyone listening, I'm assuming is interested in health and well-being in some sense. And so if you're looking for your girl to plan your travel with a health focus, Alex is it. So now, like since those first clients where you mostly had like honeymooners and NFL players, what does your clientele still primarily look like that? Has it evolved over the years, especially since COVID?
It has really changed post-COVID. So people who I planned honeymoons for are now having their second and third baby. So we're doing a lot of family travel. And then maybe they told their parents about it. And so when the grandparents are wanting to take the whole family on trips, which we call multi-gen trips, multi-generation, we're planning that. So a lot of our business now is multi-generational trips. Like we're doing safaris for them.
Oh, so
and
fun.
then we're doing like their smaller family trips, maybe trips over the holidays. So it's a lot of families. We still do get a fair amount of honeymoon clients, but it's definitely like, I'd say mostly families and couples celebrating anniversaries now, which has been fun to kind of do the honeymoon, the baby moon, the second baby moon,
Yeah.
the first like family trip abroad. So it's been cool to kind of see how that has evolved. But I love like working with clients now. I mean, some of them have been with me for like 7 years now, which is amazing.
That's so amazing because then you're building relationships with them and you're getting to know them. And like you said, like seeing them through all of these big life transitions, like how special and like those people bringing you into their lives and those like those are the moments they're gonna remember forever, which is amazing.
Yeah, during the hard, stressful times, I'm like, that's what gets me through.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So tell me a little bit more about the relationship of like being an affiliate but owning your own business. I'm just thinking about like, I'm going to Greece on Monday, and what if my plane gets delayed and or my reservation, something happens and I'm calling whoever has planned this trip. Like, are they calling you? Are you on call 24/7? This is what I'm trying to get at.
Yes, I am
Oh
on call
gosh.
24/7. And so as our client base has grown a ton and we basically always have clients traveling. I love the rare days when I don't have anyone on flights and
Yeah.
I'm like, I am not as glued to my phone.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that is one of the challenging parts of the job is you're definitely on call 24/7. My clients are definitely respectful, but obviously if they're running into any issues, we want to make sure they're taken care of immediately.
Hmm.
Um, the summer is probably the most challenging and when I get the least amount of sleep because the majority of clients are in Europe. So we're
Yeah.
on pretty opposite schedules.
Hmm.
Um, so in summer, I'm like going to bed pretty much as late as possible. Then I'm
Yeah.
waking up pretty early too. But it's just kind of part of life and part of the
Yeah.
job. You are super aware of natural disasters.
Yeah.
So
Oh my gosh.
like if there's a hurricane on the other side of the world or a volcano going off, that's something you have to be aware of when you have clients traveling.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All these little things that you wouldn't think about, as somebody living their day-to-day life, like, oh, this isn't affecting me, but like it is affecting you if it's affecting your
Yeah.
clients. Wow. Okay. And then what about when you're on your own trips, like how you were just in Spain? Is there any way you get like a little time shut off or you're still working with them?
I am still on call, but I do have an amazing team. I have two employees, Alicia and Cindy, who really hold down the fort. I try to not like be on email. I'm not working on quotes, like they're helping with all that while I'm gone.
Hmm.
But if there's an emergency situation, I'm obviously
Yeah.
going to be stepping in. But usually, knock on wood,
Yeah.
I've been pretty lucky. There haven't been too many things when I'm traveling.
Well, that's great. And that's so wonderful that you have those two ladies to help you out as well. And I'm sure your clients feel very supported. So, okay. So, talk to me a little bit about what the travel industry is like. So, I'm only coming at this from like a corporate 9 to 5 lens of like we have professional development conferences and networks and things like that. And while I'm sure it differs in the travel world, I'm sure there's also hopefully some people that have a similar business that you can like bounce ideas off of, or maybe there are like industry events that you get to go and learn from. Like, give us a peek behind the curtain. I'm so curious.
Yeah, so I'm really lucky that Smart Flyer is extremely collaborative. I think there are 250 agents, and we are in constant contact. We have like a private Facebook group that all day, like if someone has like received bad feedback from a hotel, they're putting it on there, like avoid this room,
Mm-hmm.
avoid this issue. So we basically have like real time intel, which is so helpful for our clients. Every time I visit a hotel, I'm giving like the latest reviews to them. And basically everyone's always traveling. So we're just getting a lot of up to date intel from our own travels and client travels, which is incredible.
That's so
Um,
nice.
yeah. And it's female heavy. So there are mostly women working in the industry and at Smart Flyer. So it's been great to have kind of a network of entrepreneur women. Just we're also supportive of each other. We're constantly bouncing ideas off, like constantly texting. I was just texting with someone this morning about ideas for a trip, because there are some days when you're just worn out and you're like, I am not finding inspiration for this trip. And there's someone who steps in, is like, oh, this would be perfect. And I love getting to help others out when they're in that position. But yeah, I'm very lucky that it is really supportive and really collaborative. So that's just with the host agency. But we do have a lot of outside networking events too. I feel like I'm going on, but I can talk more about that.
Oh my gosh, this is the place to go on and on about. You cannot bore me. I love travel, and I'm sure the listeners are eating this up as well.
So we're part of a network called Virtuoso, which they only accept basically the highest level of travel companies. And being a part of that gives my clients access to special perks and amenities. Smart Player has a lot of partnerships worked out with basically all the top luxury hotel companies. And so part of my job, one of the biggest parts of my job, is traveling and meeting with these hotels in site or at conferences. I'm meeting with the sales team, the GMs. I'm hanging out, then we're doing dinner. We're trying to build relationships. So then when I have clients coming, I can say, hey, will you make sure they get upgraded?
Yeah.
You make sure that you have an extra eye on them. So like just having relationships with the GMs and sales reps, it's such a huge difference between like booking with like Expedia or Amex. Like that's definitely like what sets us apart. So that is such an important part of my job. But we have some amazing conferences around the world. I'm going to one in the south of France at the end of next month.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah. So I'll be in Monaco for a couple of nights with the company who runs all the tourism in Monaco, touring all the hotels, kind of experiencing a bunch of activities, trying to see like what clients would be into doing. And then I'll be at the conference, and then I'm heading to Switzerland for a few days after to do kind of the same thing, just kind of scout and spend more time with my hotel partners there.
Amazing.
But it's great. And everyone in the hospitality industry is very fun. So I definitely come back very worn out, but it's great.
Oh, that sounds incredible. So is Smart Flyer like helping set these things up, or are you finding these like different boutique hotels and you're like, oh, this looks really cool, but I want to go and see it with my own two eyes?
So Smart Flyer, your host agency negotiates all of your commission deals with the hotels, and they do organize some fam trips, familiarization trips for us to go on. But a lot of times I'm being invited directly by the hotel or the tourism board. And then obviously on my own travels, even if it's vacation, I'm obviously scouting things for clients too. Luckily, my husband really loves touring hotels too, because we always have to tour a couple hotels on our vacation.
Honestly, it sounds so fun to me. I'm like the person who always wants to like see everyone's homes and like how they set them up and decor. So that sounds thrilling.
It's great. But yeah, so Smart Player does some of that, but ultimately, like I am responsible for all my costs, and people think I get to travel for free all the time. Unfortunately, that is not true. When I'm invited on some trips, my accommodations would be taken care of, but I'm typically paying full price or very close to full price for my own vacations. But obviously that's part of a business expense and marketing and all of that. But but it's definitely worth the investment to me. Last year I went on safari and it was a pretty big expense. I went with several other agents, but just having that experience, I totally viewed safaris differently and have been booking so many clients there. It's probably my favorite thing to book for people right now. So you just have to, running a business, like you just kind of have to decide like what's worth the money, like what's worth your time to go see. I definitely accepted a lot more invitations when I first started my business than I do now. If it's if I don't think my clients are a good fit for it or would be in the future, it's probably not somewhere I'm prioritizing. But just, yeah, all of those things are things you have to consider when you're running a business. But it's been a fun journey.
I mean, definitely sounds like work hard, play hard. So
Yeah.
that's exhausting and fun at the exact same time. But I get to pretend to be in your job, like a mini role with my job, and I do a little bit of travel planning for alumni.
Oh, yeah.
And so same thing when I get to go on those fam trips and truly experience it, then I'm so much better set up to speak to them and
Right.
get to essentially sell them to my group of clientele, which is alumni. You know, I'm not making myself commission, I'm making a university commission, but it is really cool to get to experience that. And you're right, like it's totally different than just seeing the brochures and actually getting to immerse yourself in everything.
Doesn't it make, seriously though, such a big difference seeing it?
Yes, yes. Okay, what is your favorite type of trip to plan?
I think safari for sure.
Yeah.
Just, I know clients are going to have like a once in a lifetime experience. It's so special. And when they're traveling with family, because you're in such a remote location, everyone's in one place. Like you're not bouncing to different lunch reservations and dinner reservations. They get really good quality time together, which I love. And it's sometimes hard to convince people to do that if they're going to Europe or even traveling within the United States. So I love that they are kind of forced to slow down and really be together, have an amazing like experience in nature. And all the safari properties that we work with are absolutely like stunning. The service is impeccable. It's just like the perfect experience. And so I love getting to do that for families.
Oh, I love it. And just hearing you talk about it, like you can kind of picture what it's like. And it just sounds incredible. And so I definitely will have to reach out to you whenever I'm ready for that. When my husband's out of school, maybe.
Yes, yes.
Definitely an investment.
It is an investment, but I'm like itching to go back. Last night, actually, when we were in bed, we were going to sleep, and I was like, do you think that you want to go on safari in 2026? And he was like, what? He was like, it's midnight. Why are you asking me about this?
Amazing. Brain's always churning. Oh gosh. Okay, so pretend I'm your client and I'm coming to you and I want to plan a trip. Let's pick Europe for this conversation's sake. Like, how do you work with a new client on kind of like dialing in the perfect trip for them?
Yeah. So a lot of people come to me, they have a pretty good idea maybe of where they want to go already. I'd say it's about half and half. And then the other half, they are really needing direction. I will usually at that point hop on a call with them if they have a ton of ideas so we can kind of narrow it down. For instance, I had a call with a client yesterday. Their form, I was thinking that they were leaning towards Italy. By the end of the call, I was like, okay, so we're not doing Italy at all. Budget is obviously a huge factor. How much time they have, what time of year they're going. People think that like the Mediterranean is always warm and all these beach locations in Europe are always open, but that's not the case. There's usually a pretty small window from like mid-April to end of October. And so that's something we talk about. I ask like how many places you're wanting to see, what kind of pace you're looking for. Some people want to be go, go, go. Like I truly have some clients. I honestly don't know how they do it, but I mean, they are doing tours from like first thing in the morning till like they go to bed basically at night. I'm like, I don't know how you guys have so much energy, but that is like what they love to do. And so we make that happen. I do try to encourage like downtime, and I'm always kind of preaching like visiting fewer places is better.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Americans, we have such short vacation time. And I think bouncing around from place to place can really create a lot of unnecessary stress. Like anytime you're dealing with logistics, like a travel day, we try to control as much as possible, but obviously we can't control the flight schedules, the train schedules. So I try to eliminate as much of that as possible. One of my favorite things to do, for instance, is when people are on the Amalfi Coast and they're combining it with Capri on their day where they would be going from Amalfi Coast to Capri or vice versa. We would have like a private boat day. So they'd get picked up at the hotel by boat with all their luggage. They'd spend the whole day on the water, and then they're dropped off at the dock of their next hotel.
Yeah.
So they're getting there, but they had an amazing day on the water. It didn't feel like a travel day, but the budget, time of year, and pace that they're looking for is really where we start.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's funny because I'm a little bit more of go, go, go. If you can't tell, if I'm a high strung personality, but then my husband is like, that's a trip, not a vacation. Vacation is supposed to be slow, like lay on the beach. So we have to like each compromise a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And when it's a honeymoon, I always try to encourage people. I'm like, I know you want to go on your honeymoon immediately after, but consider taking like a month to decompress. Like, let's do like a mini moon, because you're on such a high from the wedding, and then you're so tired. All you want to do is talk about the wedding. I'm like, trust me, you will not care about being in Europe. You will just care about talking about this wedding.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are just the kind of conversations we have, and it looks a little different for everyone. But we have a lot of people, like you mentioned, where one person is go, 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 and the other person is wanting to relax more. So that's something we've become really good at, is helping them find a balance.
Yeah, amazing. We need more people like you to help them. We're trying to plan Europe next summer, and it's a whole thing. So I want to go into a couple of your favorites. So it might be hard. You can pick a few because favorite is like very definite. But favorite hotel you've stayed in?
Oh, this is hard. I have two that, well, I'm like, I have a lot.
Just share a few. It's okay. It's okay. It's really tough.
One of our favorite spots, somewhere that's very special to us that we will go back to until we die, is called Guana Island in the BVI's. It's a really small private island. There are no more than 35 people on the island at a time.
Oh, wow.
There is zero development. It's all inclusive because there are no restaurants or bars besides what they have. So it's not like what you would think of as an all inclusive, but the beach is pristine. Like the water is so calm. Like I love just putting in my headphone, listening to a book, and floating all day. Yes. And it's so laid back. You can go behind the bar and make your own drinks if you want. Like it feels like you're staying at your own like Caribbean beach house. It is absolutely wonderful. It's definitely not for everyone. It's not for my clients who want like 4 seasons only, but it's really special. And we're going back again this year. I think this will be our 4th trip. But we love it. It's amazing. And I just thinking about it relaxes me. It's like my zen place.
I was literally about to say that. I was like, I feel like you just like had me take a deep breath. Just explaining it sounds incredible.
There are some great hikes. We say every year that we are going to do the hikes. We have yet to do a single one, but maybe this year. We do kayaks while there, but that's one of my very favorite spots. And then I just went to a Singida property in Tanzania last year in the Serengeti, and it was amazing. Singida is like this, basically the top luxury safari brand. I had booked quite a bit of it but I was kind of going in thinking, is this going to feel like Disney version of Africa? I was kind of going in thinking, we'll see. We'll see. I'm sure it'll be great. I was like, oh my God, no wonder this is the top properties that, I mean, everyone was so warm. The staff, I mean, they just were thinking of everything you could possibly need. The scenery, I mean, it's hard to even describe. It's just absolutely so special. It is worth every penny if people can make it work. That's another place like I could honestly be brought to tears even thinking about it.
Wow.
When I'm having like a stressful day, I'll like go back and look at my videos.
Yes. What a good calming mechanism, man.
We got to do a hot air balloon over the Serengeti when there was the Great Migration, and just seeing like,
gosh,
it was honestly like I'm speechless. Like I don't even know what to say. It was perfect.
Wow.
Great for couples and families, but those are probably my top two.
Incredible.
I mean, I'm sure I'll think of like 20 others when we get off the phone. It's really hard, and it's always kind of changing a little bit. But
and you might get some recency bias probably.
Yeah.
But those both sound incredible.
Yeah, my husband's always like, I know what you're planning for clients because you're bringing that up. Like, maybe we should go here next year.
Okay. So speaking of your husband, I know that he is a chef. He works in the food industry. And so maybe this is like a trip with him, or maybe this is a trip without him that you've gotten to brag about, but some of the favorite places that you've eaten.
Oh, okay. I know one we just talked about this actually a couple nights ago. It was in Stockholm, Sweden. It is a sushi restaurant.
In Sweden.
Yeah, called Sushi Show. And it's this tiny little building. It has like maybe 14 seats. It's kind of like set up like stadium seating, almost like you're right in front of like the omakase station. And there are these like young guys. The music is really fun, but the sushi that they're putting out they are so meticulous about it. The food was absolutely incredible. Like I think about it all the time. And we eat a lot of places that are fabulous, but sometimes they feel a little stuffy and it's not as memorable. What I loved about this place was like the food was absolutely incredible. The sake we had, the wine we had was at the highest level, but it also was really fun, energetic atmosphere. And it was just we were just in the best mood, like walking back to our hotel that night. Like I'll always remember that. Aww. So that's like the most like full package, I think. Yeah. But I mean, we've eaten a lot of great places.
I'm like thinking, how do you even keep track of all of these incredible like hotels and restaurants and everything? Because while they're all so different, I'm sure like also amazing. Like, how do you even keep them straight?
I literally have to post about it on Instagram so then I can go back and look.
It's our historical little book.
I'm like, wait, what was the name of that restaurant? And I'll like scroll back to my highlights and I'm like clicking through the 35 slides to see.
Oh, amazing. Well, there's really something to be said for a nice restaurant that also just has good energy, because I totally know what you mean by like sometimes you like pick out this restaurant and you're like, okay, I'm going to spend a lot of money here. It's really high end. I'm going to get dressed up. And then you end up feeling like stuffy, like you said, like a little bit stiff. And then it's like not as fun as if you just would have gone somewhere a little more relaxed. So
right.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah. And my husband's like, you get anxiety as soon as we sit down.
Yeah.
About how much we're about to spend. And he's like, you have no cares about this until we're about to start dinner.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it kind of like ruins it. It like takes the joy from it if you're not enjoying it. So,
and then usually like the wine courses come and I've let that go. But I'm my goal for our next fine dining experience is to not act that way when we sit down.
Yeah. I can relate. I know exactly how you feel. Okay. And then this is also probably a really toughie, but maybe overall, you could pick like top three, thinking about a trip as a whole, like your favorite experiences.
Argentina was incredible. We did Buenos Aires,
Hmm.
and then we went to an estancia in truly the middle of nowhere in Patagonia.
Yeah.
For a week, we did a backpacking trip through the Andes. It was really intense, but really fun. It was like a small group. Some of our friends went with us. At one point, we were on trails that were like 1.5 feet wide
Oh my
on
gosh.
horseback with like a 1,000 foot drop off. And I was sure that I would be dying on that mountainside.
Yeah. Oh my
My
God.
horse, my horse was like bugging the one in front and got kicked and like reared up on its hind legs. And I was like, well,
Stop it.
this is how I go.
Nice knowing
But
ya.
I was like, man, this was my idea. Bad idea. But then, but I
It's
think
really gonna look
sometimes,
bad if someone
yeah.
dies on my recommendation.
But I was like, sometimes like when you're pushed out of your comfort zone, like that makes for the best time. And
Hmm.
then after that, we went to the very southern tip of Patagonia and stayed at this really luxe, like incredible hotel with probably the most beautiful views I've ever seen.
Wow.
So that was a 3 week trip. We unfortunately at this point in our life can't really make that long of a trip work for us.
Mhm.
Where we are professionally. I'm sure one day we will get back to taking those
Yeah.
long trips. Definitely do it while you're young before you think you have a lot of responsibility. It will only get worse. But that is probably like one of our most memorable trips in far as like experiences. And then, I mean, obviously safari. Again, I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but
No, we love it. I can't even imagine how incredible that was.
and then one of my favorite trips we actually took this year, we did Paris and Bordeaux in south of France. I went in thinking Bordeaux was going to be my favorite part. I would probably eliminate that part if we do it again.
Yeah.
But I mean, Paris like just never gets old to me. The
Mm.
energy is incredible, and then the south of France was absolutely stunning. Like one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. The food was incredible. The vibes were just perfect. I
Oh,
think I'm trying to convince Trevor to go back next year. I think he's on board, but
yeah.
it's definitely somewhere we'll go many times.
Yeah. Oh, and I bet the wine was amazing too.
It was.
Oh, just transport me there. What are you doing
Yeah.
this afternoon? We can go. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, all of that sounds so amazing. I know we've been chatting so long, and I could literally chat with you all day about travel, but I do want to be respectful of your time. But is there anything before I have some rapid fire, like this or that travel edition
Sure.
prepared, but anything before that that you're like, I have to tell everyone about this?
I think just like since you are in like the wellness space, I think
Yes.
something that's been good for me to remember in having a few jobs that seem like dream careers,
Hmm.
I don't think that exists. I think just prioritizing like your own health and wellness and realizing I'm not saving lives.
Hmm.
I'm planning trips and that's so important and I give my all to that, but I can't do my best work if I'm not taking care of myself. And I think getting joy from that versus constantly like searching for it in a career, I think is something I wish I would have maybe realized at a younger age.
Hmm.
Because everything, no matter what, will feel like a job eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great advice, truly.
And as long as you're not in a toxic work environment, I think you can definitely like just prioritizing your own wellness, hobbies is really important.
I love it. Okay, are you ready for a rapid fire travel edition?
Yeah, let's try it.
Okay. River cruise or ocean cruise?
River,
Plane or train?
plane.
Beach or mountains?
That one's hard, but beach with a mountain view, preferably.
Oh, perfect. Both. Tourist spots or live like a local?
Live like a local, but I've realized there are sometimes reasons why a place is really popular.
That's great advice, honestly, because sometimes you're like, ugh, I don't want to feel like touristy, but then you want to see these monuments. Like, you
Yeah.
can't skip the Eiffel Tower. Come on,
Yeah.
people. Okay, on the go travel or relaxing vacation?
For me personally, relaxing
Yeah.
vacation.
Hot weather travel or cold weather travel?
This one's tough because I do hate being hot, but most of the destinations I love are warm weather. But so this one's 50-50 for me.
Okay, deal. Red wine or white wine?
White wine.
Salad or bowl?
Bowl.
Pizza or pasta?
This one is also tough. If it's perfect al dente pasta, pasta.
I'm hungry now. Tacos or quesadilla?
Tacos.
An early riser or night owl?
Both, but probably a night owl.
Okay, well, Alex, if people are listening and they're like, this sounds incredible, I need to follow along, live vicariously through your travels, I need to work with you, book my next trip, where can people find you and follow along, and how can they work with you?
Yeah, my website is alexandrastockton.com and my Instagram is Alexandra H. Stockton. And yeah, on my website, there should be a link to my Instagram and lots of information and a form to fill out if you are interested in working together.
And we'll link it all in the show notes as well. So just scroll on down if you're listening.
Perfect.
But Alex, thanks so much. This just brought so much joy to my day to see you again and chat all things travel. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. I love getting to do this.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Health by Haven podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to give the show a 5-star rating and leave a review. It makes such a huge difference in reaching new people and spreading the joy of healthy living. I would also be so appreciative if you subscribe to the show in the listening app of your choice so you never miss an episode. Your support truly means the world to me. Have a happy, healthy day, and I'll talk to you again soon.